Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. A Waterford man in his 80s has been charged with 44 sample charges of indecent assault going back to the early 1980s. Gardaí investigating the activities of an organised crime gang in the southeast have arrested 4 men. The Taoiseach says transmission of COVID-19 in the community has been effectively suppressed. And in sport, Shane Long says he's had to get used to kicking a football again after the long layoff from training. An 82-year-old man from Waterford has been charged with 44 sample charges of indecent assault going back to the early 1980s. The man was arrested on Tuesday and charged with the offences between the 1st of August 1982 and the 31st of June 1983. He was taken to Waterford District Court on Tuesday, where he was released on bail. Gardaí investigating the activities of an organised crime gang in the southeast have arrested 4 men for questioning following the seizure of a firearm, drugs and cash yesterday. Liz Reddy reports.
Officers from Waterford and Kilkenny, backed up by armed members of the Regional Support Unit, stopped and searched a car in Glenmore at around 4 p.m. and recovered a handgun. 3 occupants of the car, all men in their 20s and 30s and from Waterford and Kilkenny, were arrested under Section 30 of the Offences Against the State Act for questioning about the gun. Gardaí carried out a search of a house in South Kilkenny where they recovered €35,000 worth of what is suspected to be cocaine, while they also recovered €30,000 in cash during a search of a house in Waterford City. They also arrested a man in his 30s following the discovery of drugs in South Kilkenny. 2 of the men are being held for questioning at Waterford Garda Station, while the other 2 men are being held in Thomastown.
Waterford Green TD Marco Cahasig has called on the Education Minister to review the criteria for the Student Support Grant. The SISI application process only allows for a change of circumstances to be taken into account, where the change is permanent or for the foreseeable future. Speaking in the Dáil, he says students themselves, as well as their families, have seen a significant drop in income due to the pandemic.
As we know well, many of the summer jobs that students would traditionally have had and worked at over the summer in order to save for the academic year ahead, they'll not be available this year. Those are traditionally in hospitality and tourism being the obvious examples there. So I wonder, has the Minister made any provision to alter SUSI grants or the supports available to third level students that might be available to take account for that loss of summer income?
Minister Joe McHugh said this is something that will be looked at.
You're correct in saying a lot of students who will be relying on hospitality and summer jobs, those jobs won't be here this summer. There was a lot of debate in this House over the last number of years that the money that students generated was used against them then when they were trying to apply for SUSI grants. But I know you're on about the whole cohort. There is a fear around the SUSI grant in terms of it's determined on 2019 income by parents. But look, their circumstances have changed, so obviously that will have to be taken into consideration.
There's no change in the number of coronavirus cases at University Hospital Waterford. For the 12th day in a row, there's just 1 confirmed case on site. There was no suspected cases as of 8 p.m. last night. The total number of confirmed cases in Waterford since the outbreak began is 148. Transmission of the coronavirus in the community has been effectively suppressed, according to the Taoiseach. In a Dáil speech, Leo Varadkar has said the government will make a decision on moving to phase 2 of the easing of restrictions on June 5th. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
In the Dáil this afternoon, the Taoiseach presented some positive news.
We take some comfort in the fact that the trend is going in the right direction. Transmission in the community has been effectively suppressed, which was the strategy from the beginning, and we're now working to suppress it in other settings and clusters.
He said, however, that the government is closely monitoring the impact of the first phase of the easing of restrictions. A decision on moving to phase 2 won't be made by the Cabinet until June 5th. The Taoiseach warned they are preparing for a possible second wave of the virus in the autumn that may coincide with flu season. He said many more people will have to get the flu vaccine this year, including a greater uptake by healthcare workers. Leo Varadkar also hit out at people suggesting the government should borrow many billions more euro to pay for everything, saying there's no such thing as free money. He warned the countries in the most debt would bear the biggest impact of a further downturn in the international economy later this year.
Children of healthcare workers could be among the first to return to creches. Childcare facilities will be operating with fewer children when they reopen at the end of June. Minister for Children, Catherine Zappone, says they haven't decided yet how it will work, but they will be attentive to the needs of frontline workers. Children with additional needs may also be among the first allowed back, as the minister says they would benefit from returning to their creche. Minister Zappone says they will issue guidelines following consultation with the sector.
We have a list of essential workers that have been already, having to go out of the home, particularly our healthcare workers. As the society and businesses reopen, there are more maybe going out of the home in terms of that work. So we have to be attentive to that.
The CEO of a Waterford taxi company says the whole model of the industry is changing as they adapt to life with the COVID pandemic. Eric O'Brien of Rapid Cabs told Damien Tiernan on Daisha today that he has had to introduce a raft of new initiatives to maintain the business.
First 2 weeks that we were in this, we were in crisis mode, trying to do what we had to do. We've started click and collect deliveries and put the screens in the car. We've spent the last 6 weeks developing a whole new set of click and collect that will be able to partner up with local businesses, because I think they're going to have problems as well, as in you go into a shop, it only can take so many people at a time. They're going to have to look at other avenues as well for revenue.
At the moment, 30 of the company's cars out of nearly 90 are working. Driver Richie says business is quiet at the moment.
There's not many people around, which in a way is good, but business-wise it's not great. We do a lot of patient transfers, so that's keeping us going as well for the time being, So basically what we've got done to the car is we got a plexiglass screen put in. As well as that, then it's not just the COVID-19 that'll keep us safe from. You can see yourself here, it's fairly sturdy, so that'll stay in long term now.
Dawn Meats is welcoming the return of their production of beef patties for McDonalds next Monday. Their facility at Carroll's Cross in Waterford produces 1 in every 5 burgers sold in its outlets across Europe. While there has been a rapid spread of COVID-19 in meat factories around the country, Dawn Meats in Waterford remains virus-free. Group Development Manager at Dawn Meats, Paul Nolan, says it's great news for them that McDonalds have begun reopening restaurants in Ireland and across Europe.
The loss of the food service sector of our business has obviously been very serious indeed, but I'm delighted to report to you that McDonald's are back for business. We will commence production in Carroll's Cross next Monday, May 25th, and we hope to build back up the business that we had developed with them.
You can hear that interview in full on Farmview with Kieran O'Connor after the 6 p.m. news here on WLR. Waterford Court will resume civil sittings dealing with Waterford and Dungarvan lists from May 26th. Waterford is one of the first regional courthouses resuming regular circuit civil and family law court business. 2 judges will be sitting with allocated time slots and social distancing protocols in place. Cases will be listed at staggered times and distinct case types will be organised differently. Further circuit court civil and family law sessions are now being planned to take place in June.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Southampton striker Shane Long admits he has had to get used to kicking a football again after the long layoff from training. The Republic of Ireland striker began non-contact training with the Saints this week as restrictions for Premier League clubs were eased. There have been no games in the English top flight since early March due to the coronavirus pandemic. Long praised the Southampton club officials for the way they have conducted this week's sessions.
When you're pulling up to training with a mask on and gloves, and very well organised there, though. They're keeping it as safe as they can for us. We're training in groups of 5, but still social distancing, so kind of at opposite end of the pitches, and just getting fitness back. They gave us a schedule when we had the 9 weeks there at home where we kept our fitness up, but it's getting used to touching the ball again, getting that eye in again, in their first touch, and they've kind of built their sessions around that, but it's been enjoyable being back.
The World Swimming Championships, scheduled for December in Abu Dhabi, have been put back 12 months due to the coronavirus pandemic. The sports world governing body, FINA, announced the short course championships will now take place between December 13th and 18th in 2021. Irish swimmers such as Dara Green, Mona McSharry and Shane Ryan would have been hoping to compete at the event. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach admits that 2021 is the last chance to stage the Tokyo Games. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has previously said the rescheduled Games cannot take place in 2021 unless the coronavirus is contained. Bach has said they'll be prepared for various scenarios, including athletes going into quarantine. Finally, World Rugby Player of the Year Peter Steph du Toit is staying with the Stormers and Western Province. The World Cup winning flanker has withdrawn the contract termination notice he submitted last week and will remain in South Africa until next year at least. Du Toit has been linked with a move to Montpellier, but the 27-year-old has now opted to recommit to Western Province rugby. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin